Ingleside is a beautiful retirement community located at 701 King Farm Boulevard in Rockville, Maryland. We had the wonderful opportunity to visit residents there and interview them on past experiences, which is how I met Mr. Bob Balkam, a World War II veteran with many suspenseful war experiences and a remarkable story of a young boy named Mattie Stepanek, who had changed Mr. Bob Balkam's outlook on life and the need for peace. Born and raised in Wollaston, Massachusetts, a city just below Boston, Bob Balkam was the youngest of 4 children.
I was a disappointment at birth. Because I was supposed to have been Betty. My sister, who was 12, got up in the middle of the night and met the nurse and said, "Was the baby born yet?" And the nurse said, "Yes." Was it a boy or a girl? And she said it was a boy. So my sister went back to bed and cried the rest of the night. She later dressed me up in doll clothes and took my picture. That typified my entire childhood. I was no good in school. I was insecure all the time. I made the fatal mistake in kindergarten of becoming engaged. When I told her I wanted to raise pigs, she broke the engagement. Then one day I tried to kiss her in a driveway and she slapped my face. The military service. I enlisted in July of 1942.
Bob was stationed in Europe for 3 years during the war. Before going off to war, Bob was sent to the School of Flying Control, where he learned what to do in caring for the planes. Later, he was sent to an airfield in southern England. He was stationed on this control truck.
Lauren, my wife, joined the Marine Corps 6 months after I went overseas. And we didn't see each other for 40 months. We didn't even get any mail because it was the time that Hitler's U-boats were sinking. The most Allied shipping of any period during the war. And it was all in all a miserable time. When my wife and I moved to King Farm first, we bought a condo a few blocks from here, and soon after that discovered that Mattie and his mother were living in the next building to us.
Mattie J.T. Stepanek was born July 17, 1990. He suffered a rare form of muscular dystrophy, dysautonomic mitochondrial myopathy. He was a young peace activist who wrote 6 volumes of best-selling Heart Songs poetry books, along with other peace essays that also became bestsellers. He explains that Heart Songs are gifts that reflect each person's unique reason for being. After touching the lives of many, including Oprah Winfrey and former President Jimmy Carter, Mattie died on June 22, 2004, at the age of 13. His legacy continues today in the Mattie J.T. Stepanek Foundation, which Bob Balkam himself and others had started after Mattie's death.
When Mattie Stepanek said peace is possible, one, you knew that he believed what he said, and 2, you were convinced that it was possible. But Mattie stressed the fact of the necessity for the individual to be at peace, because only then could I spread peace and encourage others to be peaceful. His favorite song, which he asked to be played at his funeral, was "Let there be peace on earth, but let it begin with me." He said, make peace an attitude, make peace a habit, make peace a reality. And he said it was simple. It could start over a cup of tea and a game of chess. And I carry the same attitude now, that peace is possible. And man must overcome part of his imperfection to be an agent for peace. And Mattie shows that it's possible.
Here we are at the Mattie J.T. Stepanek Park, just a couple of blocks away from the Ingleside home where I had met Mr. Bob Balkam. I had the pleasure of meeting Mattie's mother here and the future of the Stepanek Foundation.
Is Jenny Stepanek, and I'm the executive director of the Mattie J.T. Stepanek Foundation. Mattie wrote poems about life. He wrote poems about what he saw in the world and what he wanted to see in the world. And what he wanted in the world was hope and peace. So that's very much what he wrote about. I met Bob Balkam when Mattie and I moved to Rockville around the same time that the Balkam family moved in. And we were neighbors for several years. After Mattie died in 2004, Bob was one of the founding members of the Mattie J.T. Stepanek Foundation, which is a nonprofit organization, and our mission is very simple. We continue making Mattie's message of hope and peace available and accessible to people of all ages around the world. Balkam's in his 90s. I could tell you hours and hours of information about him. What I could say about Bob Balkam is that he's an amazing person and that he fulfills purpose. He did fight in the war, and I think that as we came to know each other and he came to understand Mattie's message, he realized that peace and Mattie's message is not just about ending wars. Mattie's message is not about no military. It's a message about stopping violence. Rather than starting with war, you start with ourselves. We start with choosing peace as an attitude. And I think that Mattie's message helped Bob realize that peace is possible. And that's also an amazing part of Mattie's legacy.
My mom told me about Mattie, and then I really liked, and I was named after him, and it was about peace, and I love peace, so I really wanted to start making some peace stuff. And then sometimes when we see people, we tell Mattie, people about Mattie.
Good job.
And then they can learn about Mattie.
Very good.
Go ahead, say it.
I like doing peace for Mattie, especially when I started my Rainbow Loom Foundation for the Stepanek family. I had a Rainbow Loom. I raised over about $500. I did it at Family Days in Port Orange, Florida. I love doing it for her.
What did you do?
My mom has told me about when I first found out about Jenny Stepanek and Mattie's foundation. I wanted to keep it going. It's very special to me to keep peace going for everybody. We don't need fighting in the world or anything. We need nice comments and stuff, not bad things. See, I wanted to start doing something to keep the money, for the money of the foundation to go, and so I started my Rainbow Loom Foundation. I've raised over $500 for this foundation, and I'm very honored to be doing this.
And we used some of that money that she sent to Mattie's foundation to do our annual Peace Tree activity, which is a free activity for children and adults all around the world. So because of these young people, hundreds and hundreds of people around the world got to learn more about peace at no cost last December.
Sadie, look at the camera.
Mattie and
Sadie, put your hand up against the mic. There we go.
That's good.
And since this is actually a video camera, not just a still camera, we can do things like this.